Good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark and welcome to my studio. Now, what have I got for you lovely lot today? Well, we're going to have a go at another spontaneous painting. And as the name of the video suggests, it could either turn out to be a beautiful landscape or a right old mess. So we're going to have a go at this. No, I'm not going to show you because you can follow along and see it unfold in front of you. So come and join me and we'll sort of paint this step by step together. So just before we start, I've got a very short video, it's only about a minute long, of an upcoming painting retreat we have scheduled for January 2024. But if you don't want to watch it, just skip forward about a minute. So we've been asked for the third year running by the lovely people at Harmony Voyages to provide art lessons for the winter retreat on the second smallest of the Canary Islands at beautiful La Gomera, staying at the stunning Hotel Jardin Ticina. Now we'll be painting at locations around the island, in the hotel grounds and back at the spacious studio. Now if your partner's not into art, there is so much more to do, with hiking, whale and dolphin watching, tennis, yoga and even an 18-hole golf course literally next door. And of course, don't forget top quality evening entertainment from international acts like Richard Thompson, Track Dogs and Sally Barker. What a way to get some winter sunshine. Right, shall we get on with today's tutorial? Materials today is some Hahnemühle cold press 300 pound on a block, but any decent watercolour paper will do. My brushes are a large flat and from my range a number 12 and number 6 round, and of course my trusty number 3 rigger. Now for my colours, I'm simply picking a few which I think look nice together. So some Darkstein purple, Phthalo green and blue, but you could use some Viridian or Prussian blue, some French ultramarine, and I want to get a nice lot of texture today, so I'm using the most granulating colour I know, which is Mars Black, and from the Schmincke super granulating range, some Tundra Green and Tundra Violet. I'm also using 2 acrylic inks, Burnt Umber and Sap Green, but you could simply use your ordinary watercolours. Off we go! So starting by totally wetting the top half of my paper in a sort of diagonal way. Now I really don't have any plan at all, so there's no drawing first. Now I do know that I want to paint some sort of landscape with the sky, but I'm just going to see where the paint takes me. Now some of you may know Steve Mitchell over at Mind of Watercolour. Now he does a lot of these spontaneous watercolours, so definitely worth checking out. Now I'm sticking with my large flat brush and simply chucking in colour, but with these vertical bands, letting the paint mix and blend on the paper. So thinking on the go, I've decided to keep a little shaft of light somewhere in the middle here. And I don't need to talk you through all the colours I'm using, I'll just list them below. But it's really an opportunity to experiment with this. As I said, just have fun, no pressure, and see what happens. And as I often say, what's the worst that can happen? All you lose is a sheet of paper. So here's the trick with this, just lift up your paper to nearly vertical and just let everything pour down. And just continue building up those colours. And here I'm using a much thicker consistency, sometimes using it directly without any water. Now another inspiring artist who paints amazing experimental landscapes is Anne Blockley. Now I have several of her books and they are excellent, so definitely worth checking out. Next I'm using my spray bottle and giving a good blast just to encourage some more drips down the page. And I just love watching these drip lines as they make their way down the paper without you having any real control where they're going to go. And then just building up some more darker value while still everything is still soaking wet. And continuing to let gravity do its job by constantly tilting my paper. Next, I'm trying out these Liquitex acrylic inks, just a little dab in, and sometimes you get these amazing explosive effects. And what should happen is the ink should follow down all the existing wet drips. So let's try a little bit of Sap Green. Oh yeah, look, some interesting things going on down in that corner. Let's chuck in some clean water down that middle section and see if we can get a sense of light. And of course, a bit of random splattering. Here, lifting out with a damp brush to match the sense of light from the sky above. Now, it's about at this stage that I decide whether this painting is going anywhere and if it's worth continuing. But I think there's some interesting textures forming which could lead into some sort of semi-abstract landscape. So let's keep going. So next I'm taking a little amount of table salt and sprinkling in a few granules. I'm just rubbing the salt between my finger and thumb, releasing just a few granules. You don't want great clumps of it, so use it sparingly. It should give you a lovely feathery texture once it's dried. Okay, so the paper is at its damp stage now, about 50% dry. Okay, so now I'm going to try and add a little realism by painting in some suggestions here of a tree, using the dry brush technique, keeping the brush flat to the paper and just picking up the lovely texture from the paper as well. Then using my number 3 rigger for a few tree details. Shall we add in a few birds? Now, when painting birds, please avoid this. Now, I see this often. Painting them roughly the same size and equally spaced. And never put all the wings in the same position. Now, unless they're the Raven Formation flying team, this will never happen. Something simple like this with wings up and down. So a few little finishing touches with a white pastel pencil. Now, I've just had a mad idea. I'm going to sign it as if it's finished. But how about painting in an old rope bridge to link these two halves together? Could have ruined it, but let me know what you think, with or without. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and you'll give it a go. Just experiment and have fun with it. Just splash around. It doesn't have to look anything like mine. Just make it your own. And if 2 or 3 end up in the bin, certainly happened for me, then it doesn't matter. Just enjoy it. So, as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't already. It is free. Leave a comment. I do read every single one. Can't always reply to them. And of course, I look forward to seeing you all again next week for another Watercolour Wednesday. So take care now, everyone. Bye.